everybody. Dan Ullman, Mike here. It's time for the Belmont at the Big A meet, and our feature race and DRF race of the day for Thursday, May the 2nd is race number 3, kicking off the dollar pick 6, $100,000 Affirmed success stakes, 3/4 of a mile for some New York breds. Let's take a look at this field. We only have 5 entered in the Affirmed success, but these are some solid New York breds, and the number 1, Rotney, has held his own against open company.
Yeah, not a big field, but this is a pretty good race here, Dan. I mean, every one of these horses has something to offer in this race, and that includes the 4th Thrill of it. It's probably going to be the longest shot on the board, but we'll see how this pace plays out. He might have something to run at here. We'll see.
Short field, we'll see if there is a lot of pace signed on. We'll throw up our time form US pace projector. They don't believe the pace might be very fast. It favors front runners, this projector. The 5 Excellent Timing is a pretty quick horse. I have been a little bit disappointed, Mike, that he hasn't finished off his races recently. Rotney, to me, I think is going to be fresh off a little layoff. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go with him or at least get to the outside of Excellent Timing, park out second.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Manny Franco plays it from the rail here with Rotney, because, I mean, listen, I guess there's a chance the race plays out this way and they just think that they're on the best horse with Rotney and they don't get that aggressive early. But this is a short field. He's really fast when they want to use his speed, and he's got the inside. He's fast enough to make this pace go early. And I just sort of felt like there's a chance the 1 and the 5 actually do some racing early in this spot.
Let's talk a little bit about Rotney, who's returning off a little bit of a layoff. We haven't seen him in about 2 months or so. He's 9 for 17 on fast dirt and ran into one of the country's best sprinters in Bold Journey in a couple of open stakes races last year. He won the Say Florida Standy very easily in his most recent start against New York breds. And last time out, he just caught a very sharp speed in Super Chow, battled that horse over a very wet track that he might not have liked.
Yeah, he dueled the pace in there early. And that, ultimately, as it usually turns out for him, he's just not quite an open stakes horse, Dan. He can't quite get the job done in those races, but he runs fine. He actually ran fine last time, too. He just got tired at the end there after dueling with the winner. The difference is when they run him in these races, he's almost unbeatable. He's won 7 in a row against New York breds. The last 5 of those are stakes races. They're all easy wins. He's better than the New York breds, and he's got plenty of speed from the rail here. I think the only way that he gets beat here is if either Manny really screws it up from the rail and lets Excellent Timing get loose on him, or he just sort of gets hooked up into a really fast duel and somebody comes and gets him.
And the only horse he finished ahead of in the Tom Fool came back and ran second in an allowance race with a 96 Beyer speed figure. He certainly fits, not only from a class standpoint, but he'll be right there when the field turns for home. Dagal Surges started out like he might be a pretty decent New York bred 2-year-old for Todd Pletcher, earning a couple of stakes placings, but then he went to the sidelines for a long time, and maybe he's just beginning to race himself back into shape. Here's his most recent start, his 2nd consecutive victory, going through his 2nd level New York bred allowance condition. He got a very nice trip from Kendrick Carmouche, prompting the pace 3 wide, making the front and holding off the closer. Another good step forward for Dagal Surges, and I still think he has some upside.
Yeah, I do too. He had potential as a 2-year-old. It's unfortunate that he got hurt and missed time, but he's come back really well. This is at 7 furlongs, Dan. He's not really finishing that race off that well, but it was a forward move for him there. He gets to go back to 6 here. The race off the layoff in January in the mud, that looked like nothing more than a fitness builder for him. He got really tired, and he's been way better since then.
Sheriff Bianco, the number 3, is going to have to deal with a 5.5-month layoff. His most recent start was going a 1-turn mile at Aqueduct in kind of a paceless race. He did finish ahead of a horse that came back to run second in an allowance with an 88, then won one with a 92 Beyer, and he has kept decent company against open foes in the past. He's not exactly the biggest win machine in the world, 12 seconds in his career, but he's solid enough, and I think he's adaptable even at this shorter distance.
I agree. I think those are the things that you like about him, because this is the most recent start for him here, and he just can't really make much headway through the stretch in this race. This is a good field, though, that he's not able to get to at the end. He doesn't win a lot, but he can do anything. Any distance is fine for him. He gets any kind of a trip in a race. He's got a really handy running style when he's able to get a clean trip. And then when you start picking apart his form, Dan, especially the sprints, I think he's better sprinting. He's got a couple of graded stakes races in there from last year where he actually didn't run poorly at all. One of those against Cody's Wish at the end of last year. Then he's got 2 allowance races where he's beaten by New York Traffic and Nakatomi. They're graded stakes horses on their best day too. So he's just been in really tough spots while not winning.
Another horse that's acquitted himself quite well since running through his New York bred conditions is the 4, Thrill of It, going out for the perennially underrated and excellent trainer John Terranova. This horse won his first level allowance 3 starts back over course and distance, just missed over a muddy track, and then ran a good third in this race against some pretty sharp horses. 2 next out winners. Safa's Day upset this field, but then came right back to win an $80,000 optional claimer at Keeneland with an 87 buyer.
Yeah, this race was hard for me to decipher because it kind of looked like Thrill of It was in another good spot here, Dan, and he just couldn't really threaten the leaders in this race. And I wasn't thrilled with the 2 horses that finished in front of him, but they've both since come back to run really well. So maybe he just landed in a race last time that was tougher than it looked on paper. I thought he ran really well 2 starts back in a race that just didn't really come back for him. His races are actually really good. This is not an easy spot for him, though.
Excellent timing. The number 5 was a speedy winner of the Damon Runyon at Aqueduct way back in 2021. He sort of slotted himself in as a first level open allowance type. Let's watch his most recent start. Catching a muddy track for the high percentage Rob Atras barn, he went to the lead and he went fast. 21-3 for the opening quarter, 44 and change for the half, and he's understandably going to get tired late. The question in this race is, will Rotney leave him alone and allow him a breather?
Yeah, I wonder that it could be the key to the race too. I mean, he did go a really fast pace in this race. It's not a bad performance at all. This is also a pretty good field, and he just can't hold on there. It was a little, I know it was off of a pretty long layoff, a little more disappointed with his race 2 starts back then. Maybe he just needed it. They didn't really make him go fast that day, and he still got run down.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. It is Kentucky Derby week. All of our handicappers are on board to talk about the most famous race in the world. Let's take a look at our top selections for the Thursday race of the day. It's the Affirmed Success. You're going with Seraph Bianco, Mike. I kind of like that pick off the layoff. From a class standpoint, this horse fits. And while recently he's been campaigning at longer distances, he runs really well at this trip.
Yeah, I like him sprinting anyway. I'm just listen. Rotney to me is the way the horse to beat in here. I'm gonna hope that excellent timing makes that horse work a little bit, and maybe it sort of opens things up for one of the other horses.
I agree with you. I think this pace might be faster than Timeform US gives it credit for. I think the 1 and the 5 can hook up, and I think Donegal Surges might be able to sort of tuck into a decent position from just off of them. I like his upside. He's coming off of a couple of career best races, and maybe, just maybe, with Rotney in this field, he'll be a playable price. 3125 for Mike, 2135 for me. It's the Thursday race of the day, the Affirmed Success at the Belmont at the Big A meet, race number 3. Good luck.